rounding third with home plate in sight. But even the best players need a coach to wave them in. Safe! Welcome to Perfect Game Retirement, hosted by Ryan Ledden, former pro baseball player, University of Georgia economics graduate, and now certified financial planner with Black Oak Asset Management. He's here to guide you through the final stretch and help you slide safely into a winning retirement. Play ball!
Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement with Ryan Ledden, president and financial coach, also certified financial planner, Black Oak Asset Management. We got a great show for you today. We're kicking things off first with a fun comparison. Personal training and financial planning. We're going to be talking about the similarities between fitness routines and financial strategies. Talk about how you can strengthen your financial muscles. Then we're going to shift gears, talk about something a little more timely. October is Financial Planning Month, and now people might be laughing about that idea of, hey, let's celebrate financial planning, but it is true. There's no better time to pause, reflect, and get serious about your financial future. And Ryan, as we kind of kick off today's show, good to talk to you again. It's a perfect reminder, like we're getting close to the end of the year, right? We're celebrating this financial planning month, but there's a lot going on right now as you kind of prepare for the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we got months celebrating other stuff, so why not financial planning, right? That's a big part of everyone's life, whether they want to acknowledge that or not. But some year-end things. I mean, we do this throughout the year, but required minimum distributions. So if you're of the age of 73 or older, you need to be taking those required minimum distributions out of your pre-tax accounts. Now, if you turn 73 this year, you technically could take it out by April 1st of next year, but then you have to take another one. Anyway, if you work with an advisor, great. They should help you with that. If you're not sure about the RMDs, let us know. We can have a conversation about it, but it is a calculation based off of the year-end balance of your pre-tax accounts. Now, RMDs Roth IRAs and brokerage accounts, those don't qualify. It's just your pre-tax IRAs. Also, one thing to think about is inherited IRAs. Inherited IRAs, there's different rules that apply. And this is where it gets very, very hairy here. But if you have an inherited IRA from someone who died before the end of 2019, so 12/31 of 19 or before, you have to take a required minimum distributions off that account each and every year. If you have an inherited IRA for someone who passed away after the day of 1/1/2020, then there's the 10-year rule that applies. A 10-year rule means you have to drain that inherited IRA within a 10-year time period. You don't have to, at least as the rules as of now, you don't have to take an RMD out of those accounts each year, but just know it's going to build up potentially, and then you have to take larger chunks out. So most custodians will give a suggested amount, like, hey, maybe take this out, but you don't have to. Again, call us and we'll have a conversation about that. That is confusing because there's certain dates that do apply there. So RMDs are big. Roth conversions have to be done by 12/31 of this year. Meaning if you want to take money out of your pre-tax IRA and move it to your Roth, you can absolutely do that. You avoid a 10% penalty no matter what age you're at, but you do have to be responsible to pay your federal and your state income tax if that applies. So just be aware that there's going to be a tax bill and pay the tax bill out of your back pocket, the cash that you have on hand. So doing conversions sometimes it defeats the purpose if you take the tax out of the amount that you're moving over. Meaning if you move $10,000 from a pre-tax IRA to a Roth and you take the tax out of there, well, $10,000 isn't moving to your Roth. Maybe $8,000 is moving to your Roth. So it takes a while to build it back up to where it was of $10,000. So anyway, again, planning opportunity there. And then last but not least, there's some year-end requirements as far as like if you have a solo 401k, those contributions need to be in by the end of the year. Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, those can be done after the year when you file your taxes, but 401k employee contributions need to be in by the end of the year. So again, high level stuff. There's some other things to be thinking about, but those are the kind of the big three that we do around here.
All right. Well, a lot going on here to close out the year. If you want to get in touch with Black Oak, go over some of these things. 800-388-0085. Again, 800-388-0085. You can get a complimentary consultation, begin talking about these planning. If you have questions about what you should be doing here to close out the year or anything we talk about today on Perfect Game Retirement, just call 800-388-0085. All right, let's kick off today's show with a little bit of a comparison between personal training and financial planning. Ryan is a former professional baseball player. I know you've done quite a bit of training in your time, and I know you're probably working with your son quite a bit and your daughter, training them as well. But there's some comparisons here between fitness and financial planning as well. So let's look at some of these. I'm curious to get your thoughts. But I know the first one here is you probably can't just read a book, right? I know it's very easy to open up and find information on anywhere you look, really, online, hardback, paperback, whatever. They give you information out here, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to start doing it, right? Knowledge has to be combined with a little bit of drive, a little bit of determination.
Yeah, books are awesome. I read as much as I can, or I do audio books. Again, we have 3 that we have available for people. So yeah, knowledge is great, but action is what needs to happen in order for change to take place. You can build up as much knowledge and you can have a wealth of knowledge, but again, it has to be combined with drive, determination, action, you name it. So a trainer or an advisor, that's where we feel like greater results can happen. Now, are there some people that can do personal training on their own? Yes. I mean, you're right. Back in the day when I played, sure, we had strength coaches on every single team that I played for. So that definitely gives you the nudge or the motivation to do it. But then, I'm kind of a self-motivated person. Not everybody is that way, but I've continued to have personal training or training in fitness as a big part of my life. So I continue to do that on my own. Do I get bored sometimes and stale with it? Sure. So sometimes I'll reach out to someone or even have an app that tells me when I can and cannot eat. And I'll listen to the app. I'm like, okay, app says I can't eat. Like, why can't I do that on my own? Sometimes you need that extra nudge. So that's where I think a trainer / financial advisor can come in to help motivate and to do these things, to put deadlines on things, to say, hey, you got to do this. We got to do this. And sometimes people can't do that on their own. So reading a book is great. But that it takes more than that. It takes initiative. And again, a trainer, and when we're talking about personal training here, a trainer can probably get better results than you would on your own. Sure, does that trainer cost money? Yeah, a good one definitely will. Just like an advisor costs money, but also you see the value of a personal trainer, and you should see the value of a financial advisor. And that's when, if you see the value, you'll hire someone.
All right, Ryan, certification matters, but it's not the only thing, right? So in the fitness world, being a certified personal trainer, we know that you have a certain level of education, certain level of expertise, but you could also easily end up with a trainer who is technically qualified but not a good fit for you. This happens financially as well, right?
It does. I mean, there are some certifications you probably want to look for, but it doesn't mean that maybe they're a great financial advisor, or maybe from a personality standpoint, they just don't jive with you. So certifications, yes, they're great. I mean, I'm biased. I finally got my CFP. That was a big thing for me, like a certified financial planner. That does kind of separate you in the industry. It is not an easy training program to go through and a test to take. So yes, look for things like that. But I've also seen people who have alphabet soup behind their name, and they got 10 designations, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't work with that person because I know who they are, and just because you can pass a bunch of tests doesn't mean it makes you a good advisor, just like it may not make you a good certified personal trainer. So yeah, certifications, they do matter, but they're not the end all be all. Process, how people do things, philosophical, how do they approach things? And sometimes those personalities may not fit. So that's why you need to see and talk to advisors and meet with a few to see which ones kind of align with you above and beyond just those certifications.
All right, I love this next one. You got to start with goals. And this is a perfect one with fitness because you want to know kind of what you want to accomplish before you can start putting work into place, right? I can't just tell you, hey, go running or just go do bench press for an hour, whatever. Same way with you, Ryan. You got to know what somebody's goals are. What do they want to accomplish before you can ever start putting a plan together?
Yeah, I mean, the goals are the framework. I mean, we need to know where you want to go, and we will help you get there. But the goals and what you want to do are the framework of everything. What's your destination? Where are you going? And that's what helps. Like you said, go over there and do 100 reps of bench. Well, what is that doing? Maybe you got a big chest, but then, chicken legs and a small back. It's like, you gotta make a plan for these things. So that's the same thing. We have to start with goals. What direction are you going in? What do you want to do? And it's our job to see if we can get you there. And that's where we have to be honest with you. Like, okay, yeah, this is doable, or, well, we may not be able to do some of these things, so we need to make adjustments here, or, yeah, you're well on your way and you can even do these things even more if you want to. So we have to know what you want to do and what your goals are, and we can go from there.
All right, again, if you can get in touch with Ryan. If you have questions, you want to begin building out a plan for yourself with your goals in mind, 800-388-0085 is the number, 800-388-0085. We give you the opportunity to schedule a complimentary consultation right now at 800-388-0085. All right, a couple more comparisons here between the world of fitness and financial planning. You don't want to counteract your progress with other bad habits. This is so true when you're working out, right? It's great if you're working out and you're running and you're getting exercise, but if you're eating poorly, well, not a lot's going to change, right? So how does this compare to what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard different percentages as far as like, you can do these exercise regimens but 80%, I've heard 90%, 75% of it is your diet. Like
Yep.
You have to have a good diet, or if you go work out and then eat cheeseburgers all day, it doesn't matter what happens. So yeah, if you have bad habits, let's say you have a bad spending habit, like you just spend too much money, you have too much credit card debt. Well, it's this leaky ship. I mean, it's going to eventually it's going to go down. So you need to know what those bad habits are and track those things. But you have to be on a strict regimen, just like a diet. As you get older, I'm finding this out. I'm almost 48 years old and can't just eat whatever the heck I want to eat. So, you see my kids and they're like eating bowls of ice cream every night. I'm like, I remember those days. Those are awesome. And that's just you can't do it anymore. So I can't go down that bad habit path. So just like with money, if you have a bad habit, then your retirement plan is just not going to be successful.
Yeah, so true. I wish we could eat what we could 15, 20 years ago. Man, it would be nice. All right, let's close it out. One more comparison here. It's a journey, not an overnight success. So important to remember when you're trying to get healthy. This is not about doing it in a month or two. It's about creating habits that'll last long term. Same thing on the financial side. You can't expect to hit a home run overnight. It's about doing the little things over a long period of time.
Yeah, and you have to fight this a lot because obviously it's just we have so much instant gratifications and these magic pills and magic weight loss shots that we can take now. It's with money and finances, there's very, very, very rarely a quick fix, and if there is a quick fix, then it probably isn't going to last because you hear of all these people who win lotteries and things like that. Like, it just exposes bad behavior, and usually those people are broke. So don't make your financial plan winning the $1 billion, lottery. It's just not going to happen. So it is a journey, and I don't care how old you are, you can start now. Don't have the negative mindset of, I'm 55 years old and I only got $100,000 to my name. Like, keep going. It's never too late. I mean, because you're 50, 55 years old, but you have maybe 40, 45 years of life left. Maybe you just, are in the third quarter of your life at the very beginning of the third quarter. So it's never too late to start, but it's not going to be an overnight success. It's a grind. So anything that is worth doing is usually a grind, and you have to work at it.
So no matter where you are, you want to make sure you're prioritizing your financial health, just like you are your physical health as well. And that's why you have the opportunity to get in touch with Ryan and the team at Black Oak Asset Management, 800-388-0085. Again, 800-388-0085. And Ryan, this is the kind of thing that you help people with, right? You provide that service to help support them and hold them accountable when they're trying to improve their health.
Yeah. So, because of your life, you usually need some sort of coach, trainer, advisor, whoever, doctor. You usually need someone in your corner to help improve a certain portion of your life. And again, I'm biased, but everyone has to interact with money. Hopefully everyone wants to do certain things and retire one day. So I feel like a good advisor adds value, even though there is essentially a cost. Yes, we get paid for working with people. Yes. But I feel like it needs to be, we're viewed as a value add, not a cost. If you look as an advisor of a cost, when you go to the doctor or the dentist, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to pay. Sure, you may say, oh man, that's kind of painful, but you do it because it's going to get you better. You're going to be in a better spot. My wife being a veterinarian, I mean, I hear about vet bills all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but it's your pet, it's your dog. Like, what, are you just not going to treat them? Now, I get there's sometimes where, okay, they're in a situation where they need to not be treated because of the cost and they're getting suffering. And so there comes a time, but you usually do things better when you have a coach in your corner.
100%. So take advantage. 800-388-0085 is the number to get in touch with Black Oak Asset Management and begin that process. All right, more to come here on Perfect Game Retirement, so stay with us.
The bases are loaded and your financial future is on deck. Are you ready? This is Perfect Game Retirement.
This is Perfect Game Retirement with Ryan Ledden at Black Oak Asset Management. Is a certified financial planner. And I know you also don't have this on your website, Ryan, but you are an author as well, right? You have a couple of books, and including one that you just came out with, I think, that's helping a lot of people, especially those federal employees. I know you work with a lot of those.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that as a big need. I think it's always been a big need, but there's been some news headlines of federal employees being laid off and some giving early retirement packages, and so we just thought, there's a lot of waters you have to navigate sometimes with federal employees because, certain, depending on when you started, there are certain things that apply to those individuals. And after a certain date, there's different set of rules that apply to them. And there's a lot of alphabet soup. When I say that, there's, acronyms for everything. So sometimes it gets confusing. And so we have a book out that hopefully clarifies a lot of these things, because again, we do work with a lot of federal employees, and we've heard kind of their questions, and just kind of over time, we're like, we need to do this. So myself and Nick, another advisor, we co-authored a book, and so yeah, you can click on there and get the book. All we need is obviously your name and address and some information, so we can at least send it to you. But there's some supplemental materials in there that clarify a few things with federal employees as well. But anyway, so it's a great packet. So we're happy to send that out. Just make sure you put the right address and right name so it doesn't come back to us, because that's happened a few times.
Yeah, it does. So make sure you take advantage of that. Again, it's a free book and a lot of great information in there. You can just get in touch with Ryan now to get a copy of that. 800-388-0085. Again, 800-388-0085. All right, got a question this week from Barry in Peachtree City. Want to run by you, Ryan. He says, I enjoyed decades of a good and fulfilling career. Now I see my son struggling to make ends meet. Should I give them an early portion of their eventual inheritance, or is it better that they figure it out on their own? I know it's a great question, and I think one a lot of parents are asking.
Oh, yeah. I would need way more details, Barry, but that's a great question. I think a lot will depend on like what their behavior has been up until their point. Are they doing the right things? It's just, hey, I get it. I mean, life is expensive. I understand that. I'm trying to save for a house and get out of maybe college student loan debt, or, anyway, every situation is different. But Barry, I think you can see by their behavior on what they are trying to do. So maybe give them a set of goals to get to. But, maybe you want to see if they're doing the right things, and you want to see them enjoy their eventual inheritance while you're alive. That's a great thing too. But again, it all boils down to behavior. If they're doing the right things and they're living on a budget and trying to get out of debt if they are in debt. So doing those things to help them out. And my kids are younger, so I'm not at that stage yet. But in my mind, I've always been like, you know what? If they get to a point and they're starting out, like, I would love to be able to, like, match them or just fund a Roth for them. If they're doing their 401k plan and going up to the match, or putting as much in there as they can as a gift, to be like, you know what, I'm going to fully fund a Roth for them and set them on the right path. So those are some things you can do, but I think a lot depends on the behavior. And if they're doing the right things, shoot, yeah, help them out. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Great question, Barry. If you have one for Ryan, you want to ask him directly, get in touch. 800-388-0085. Again, 800-388-0085. All right, it is Financial Planning Month, the month of October, and look, a little time we're going to carve out for Ryan and what he does every day, and hopefully what you're doing on your own with your family, right, as you prepare for your financial future. So how should we commemorate this most special of occasions, Ryan? Well, let's go through it today here on Perfect Game Retirement. Let's start off with this. ask the question, right? Do you have a question that maybe you've thought about, right? You've wondered, maybe you're not sure about an acronym or some of the letters that are out there or a term, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to ask a question this month, because that's how you start getting answers and learning more about where you're headed.
Yes, man. I used to say this all the time when I was a high school teacher. I used to say, like, please do not feel pressure to not ask a question, because I guarantee you, if you have a question, someone else in the classroom has the exact same thing. Or if we do educational seminars, same thing. Please ask, because you're not going to look quote unquote stupid because there are other people in there that have the exact same question. Even if we're sitting in a meeting and it's just, me and two clients in front of me. And I say that, like, look, there is no silly question. This is your money. This is not mine. This is your money. I am the fiduciary, the advisor on the account, and I have to do what's in your best interest. But I need to know questions that you have, because it will clarify a lot of things and what our next steps may be. So I feel like I paint the picture on that pretty well. I don't, when I sit in meetings, some people's interest level or knowledge level of financial planning is different, and I can usually get a pretty good read on that, but I never talk over their heads. I mean, there's a lot of terminology that can just not speak to people, and that's where they close down and they don't want to feel stupid if I'm talking way over their head. And I feel like I do a really good job of that, is making sometimes the complex not as complex, and use terminology that I think people can understand. And I still get up on that whiteboard like I'm a teacher, and I still go through things, and I don't know how many times people are like, hey, can I take a picture of that? So whatever I drew up on the whiteboard, I'm like, sure, yeah, go right ahead. If that clarifies things, then absolutely. So ask the questions, because I guarantee you it's other people have them. So please ask.
Yep. Please ask them. All right, here's something else you can do this month. Write out a financial dream. What do you have in mind? What do you want to do later in life? What is something that you've always thought about doing? Because, Ryan, you set these dreams out, you put them in place, then you can actually start putting a plan to work towards those, can't you?
Yeah, I like that terminology. Write out your financial dream, because sometimes, like, oh, what are your goals? Like, I don't know. Sometimes that gets watered down. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. I guess that's my goal. I don't know. Sometimes just clarifying goals are sometimes difficult. But if you paint out, hey, what's your financial dream? It's like, oh yeah, it's sometimes just that terminology makes things easier for people to clarify that and to really start talking about it and having some good dialogue. So write that out. Maybe we can't get to every single one of those things, but hey, if you got 5 or 6 different things that comprise that financial dream, then hey, maybe we can do 3 of those, or maybe we can do all of them. Who knows? But I like that terminology, because it's different than just goals. Because again, we just hear that term so much that sometimes it kind of loses meaning after a while. But writing out your financial dream, hey, let's see what we can shoot for, and then let's see what we can do.
All right, we're talking about how to celebrate Financial Planning Month, even if you never thought about that. Well, now's an opportunity to take a next step, a positive step in the right direction financially. If you have questions for Ryan, want to begin the process yourself of planning, get in touch, 800-388-0085. You can schedule a complimentary consultation with Black Oak Asset Management, 800-388-0085. And as we're celebrating this, Ryan, and thinking about things we can do, what about we challenge ourselves, right? I think these theme months are always a great time to challenge yourself in whatever area, but what can we do financially to challenge ourselves?
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes we take people through an exercise where they see, just for like 1 month, like how low their spending can be. Now, I'm still like, eat good meals, and I'm not saying eat beans and rice that Dave Ramsey says all the time, but just cut back and see how far you can scale back just for 1 month. So if we just needed to really make adjustments down the road, hey, we could still live off this and be okay. Do we want to live off that? No, we don't want to live off that for the rest of our lives. But how much can we scale back when we do meal prep and meal planning, and not clicking buttons on Amazon and buying things because it's so easy, but just see what you can tell yourself no for a month. And it may be eye-opening, like, holy cow, we actually lived off this. Was it great? No. Was it terrible? No, wasn't terrible either. So it's amazing what you can try to accomplish, even if you just know it's a short runway. Just, hey, kind of challenge yourself and see how far you can take this and be disciplined with your spending, just so you know, again, if the market has a bad pullback or whatever situation may happen that you could short term if you needed to.
All right, one last one here, Ryan. Do a financial inventory. This is something I think we all know it's time to do. We keep putting it off, but this month, make it a priority. Take the time to list out all of your assets and determine exactly what you have.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge because I think people get away from this sometimes, whether it's, what you have, what your passwords are. It's almost like you need to have a financial vault, whether that's a hard copy, paper copy of things, or we give our clients access to a financial planning tool that you can upload all that information and it saves in a vault. That way, if God forbid something happens, all those things are there, which again is so important. But just knowing where everything is at, passwords, just having accessibility to those things. And we can link, like if someone has a current 401k, we can link that 401k to our financial planning software, so we at least see it and know, hey, this account exists. It's there if we need to get to it. But again, passwords, if you want to save that, even in that vault, there's a private vault that we don't have access to. So if you want to save all your passwords there, totally fine. But just taking an inventory of everything and where everything is at is hugely crucial, especially for those that you leave behind.
All right, last thing I'm going to add here that wasn't on my list to begin with, but take the time to actually meet with a financial advisor, right? Ryan is a certified financial planner. You can get a 15-minute complimentary consultation, begin learning more about what the process is like, learning more about how he can help you. 800-388-0085 is that number. Again, 800-388-0085. Kind of a great kind of next step as well, Ryan, because you can learn a lot about what you do and how you can help.
Yeah, and just meeting with us doesn't mean you have to move forward. You're not going to get pressure to move forward, but sometimes people have never met with an advisor. Maybe they've only worked with one advisor their whole life and they just don't know what else is out there. So sometimes maybe meeting with an advisor kind of solidifies your relationship with your current one. I mean, you just never know. It doesn't mean now if you get pressure to move forward or do this, then that may not be the fit for you. So I think just meeting with an advisor is beneficial for anyone, whether you move forward with them or us is another discussion. But I always tell people, like, after we meet with them in that in-person meeting or that in-person Zoom call, like, if we decide that those people are a good fit, just because we meet with people, it may not be a good fit for us. We've told people no before. But if we feel like it's a good fit and we kind of offer our services up, we always tell people, hey, no is a perfectly acceptable answer. Like, if you say no, we appreciate your time. That's it. That's all you're going to hear from us. But if it's a yes, then obviously we'll paint out what the next steps are. But there's zero pressure to move forward. But we do like an answer. It's either yes or no. When you get to that point, it's not just not return our calls or not reach back out. So no is a perfectly acceptable answer.
All right, 800-388-0085. Again, Black Oak has offices in Alpharetta, Macon, and Lawrenceville, and also now in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida as well. But again, get in touch, 800-388-0085. Thanks again for being a part of Perfect Game Retirement this week. We'll be back again next week, same time. Hope you'll join us. For Ryan Ledden at Black Oak, I'm Ben George. Thanks for listening.
Information provided is for informational purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Please consult with a qualified professional before taking any action. Securities and registered investment advisory services offered through Silver Oak Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Black Oak Asset Management and Silver Oak Securities, Inc. are not affiliated.